Welcome to another edition of Daily Airline News, focusing on the tragic loss of Air India Flight 171. I'm Geoffrey Thomas, and I'm delighted to say, once again, joined by my co-host Richard Godfrey in Frankfurt. Good morning to you, Richard.
And good afternoon to you, Geoffrey.
You. Viewers, this episode, Boeing or Air India? Viewers of our Sunday video have provoked huge support as well as doubters and critics. In this episode, we will focus on the main issue of water ingress and try to clear up misunderstandings. Was the cause of the Air India Boeing 787 crash on the 12th of June 2025 an issue of poor design or manufacture, or was it an issue of poor operation or maintenance? Some of our viewers believe that we are criticising the 787 in our coverage because we are taking a deep dive into its systems. We do not think the 787 is at fault, and we believe Air India maintenance or operations is the most likely cause of the loss of Air India Flight 171. The Boeing 787 is the most advanced and capable commercial aircraft ever built, and over the past almost 14 years has carried 1 billion passengers on 5 million flights, with only the Air India tragedy a black mark. Today there are 2,100 787 flights every day, carrying 500,000 passengers a day. As of July 2025, the 787 program has received 2,199 orders from 87 operators and delivered 1,206. Its dispatch reliability is up to 99.5%, matching that of the Boeing 777, considered the most reliable wide-bodied aircraft. Make no mistake, if the 787 was at fault, the US NTSB and the British AAIB would be all over it. Richard, let's kick off with the most popular comments. Alexandros, 8361, with 106 likes. Congratulations, Richard, especially. Impressed by your standing up to the pressure around and demanding the truth. I think we are actually getting somewhere. From Shankar Lak Shashman, 6167, with 40 likes. I'm an Indian and have consciously avoided flying Air India for the past 20 years now. I fear flying in general and am paranoid on a flight, irrespective of the airline. But flying Air India has always felt like a bigger than average gamble. The irony is that Air India flights on the Mumbai-London route are usually more expensive than Virgin Atlantic and on a par with British Airways. If the cause of this accident is down to poor maintenance, it is a monumental shame, and to blame it on the pilots absolutely criminal. Thank you, sirs, for your efforts in bringing the facts to the fore. Marie in Greece with 104 likes. I don't understand why people are not subscribing more to this wonderful podcast. Such competence is very rare. Thank you. And the convert customer with 57 likes. Yet another absolutely fabulous, detailed episode. This is truly the channel that keeps on giving. Thank you both for your tireless work, in-depth analysis and factual presentation. Best wishes, as always, from the United Kingdom. Richard.
Yeah, well, some very kind words, and thank you very much for that. There are, of course, many vested interests in this tragedy. The families of the victims are preparing legal cases for compensation. The investigators are not happy with the investigation and not happy with each other. Many aviation experts call for caution in assigning blame, and other analysts have already started to blame Boeing or Air India, and views are divided and hotly contested. There are hundreds of TV documentaries, newspaper reports, and social media channels on Air India, some with millions of viewers and followers and subscribers. and opinions are clearly divided. What we're trying to do is to give evidence to back up any statements we make. And we are subject to the scrutiny of our viewers and subscribers. And we do our best to answer both our supporters and our critics.
Yeah. So Ra Inc. with 67 likes. Given the shoddiness of Air India's attention to proper maintenance, can we trust that the maintenance logs were not falsified to cover this up? Thanks, Rick in Tacoma.
Yeah, the preliminary report and the public statements by the DGCA and the AAIB India state that all worthiness directives and service bulletins were complied with. The preliminary report states at this stage of the investigation, there are no recommended actions to Boeing for the Boeing 787-8 or to General Electric for the GE NX-1B engine. So it clears for the time being the operators and the manufacturers. However, the DGCA ordered inspections of all Air India Boeing 787 fleet. And on the 18th of June, the DGCA announced that inspections of Air India's Dreamliners revealed no major safety deficiencies, and the aircraft were found to be in compliance with all safety regulations. Air India's CEO, Campbell Wilson, emphasized that the probe found no mechanical or maintenance issues, and inspections across the 787 fleet had been carried out under regulatory supervision. In late July, Air India and regulators, including the FAA, confirmed the inspections had uncovered no faults or anomalies in the fuel system or the lock mechanism of the fuel switches. The FAA stated systems performed as designed. Boeing also confirmed no systemic issues were found in the 787's fuel systems based on inspections and operator data, including data from Air India. The Guardian newspaper in the UK, citing the AAIB's preliminary report, noted fuel starvation due to the fuel switch mechanism was identified as the key area of focus, but no definite mechanical fault was found. And press coverage underscores ongoing investigation into whether fuel starvation event was due to mechanical failure or deliberate human action, but the inspections themselves found no faults.
Dark Memo 42, the fact that lavatory fluids can leak into electrical bays is beyond shocking. Pathetic designers. Richard, that's a heavy-duty statement.
Yeah, fluids do not leak into electrical bays by design. And I think anyone who's ever witnessed a water leak in their home knows that the water leak was not part of the design of the home. It was the result of a failure. And what do? You turn the water off at the main tap and you repair the leak. Of course, if you don't bother to either turn the water off at the main tap or to repair the leak, then you can't complain to the builder or the architect of your home that your home was flooded.
Yeah. From Ice Station Zebra. That was a good flick. 2025. I used to buy lavatory and galley units for various aircraft 25 years ago. They were specifically designed and manufactured as modular units with sealed drip trays to prevent toilet flush fluid from leaking onto the aircraft structure or floor panels, etc. The design philosophy prevented an awful lot of routine leak issues, although you could occasionally still get leaks at pipe couplings, joints in the water system, if the modular toilets were not connected properly. Richard.
Yeah, and the Air India Boeing 787 has got 256 seats on it. And for a long haul flight, people will need to go to the toilet, and probably several times. The average healthy person goes to the toilet 7 times a day for urination, and between 3 times a day and 3 times a week due to a bowel movement. This implies 750 to 960 toilet visits during a long haul 8 hour to 10-hour flight. The fluid, the Rakusan fluid, is no longer manufactured, but similar fluids are used to ensure toilets are cleaned, disinfected, and odorless. The fluids are antiseptic, and toilets are air conditioned. But of course, if you don't properly maintain them, you will get the problems that you're pointing out, Ice Station Zebra.
So JNC 5894. Well, if the maintenance guy got your information from is correct, then it's obvious that Air India does not comply with proper maintenance. However, it's incredibly hard to believe that all this stuff failed in perfect order and then worked in perfect order only seconds later. Who knows what really happened at this point for sure? Excellent job on determining the what ifs of this accident.
Yeah, but the point really is, when is enough enough? Or what is the straw that breaks the camel's back? At what point do repeated stresses, deferred maintenance, or latent defects push the system beyond what it was designed to handle? For humans, pilots and crew and ground staff and maintenance personnel, it can also apply to workload and fatigue. When does cumulative stress mean they can no longer operate safely? And it is often said in safety investigations that accidents are rarely caused by a single failure. And the Swiss cheese model from James Reason's model of accidents implies multiple layers of defense eroded by small holes until they align. So yes, it can appear a mystery. Why does it work one moment? Why does it not work another moment? Why does it work for so many years and then all of a sudden fail? But I think if you follow James Reason's model of accidents, you can get the Swiss cheese holes lining up.
You can indeed. The way things are, 8158, if your sources are correct, and I have no doubt why they would not be, and that you have undertaken due diligence, ingress of urine from the toilet above into the electrical components below is a shocking revelation to me, as is the recommendation from Air India for protective rubber matting in the galley, which rather implies the original design provides inadequate protection from spillages. If mandatory advisory was not undertaken, then that certainly would explain why the preliminary report appears to point the finger at the pilots. However, how convenient that they are no longer alive to speak back. We would all like to see the maintenance logs, please, Air India. Richard.
Yeah, well, the rubber matting was actually for two reasons. One, to make sure people didn't slip on a wet floor, and that was causing some spillages. And the other reason, as you mentioned, is to contain those spillages and not allow them to leak through the cabin floor to the electronics below. Now, we all want a safe aircraft when we fly, and the state of art is a complex aircraft like the Boeing 787. It has, as we mentioned previously, a 2.9 megawatt electrical generation capability. And it has, as we mentioned in the previous episode, over 900 systems. But at the same time, we also want to be able to eat and drink during a flight. And we also want a nice clean toilet if we need to go to the toilet. And what happens when something goes wrong? Well, we all want someone to blame. And I've learnt in life every time you point a finger at somebody else, there are four fingers pointing back at you. However, I would still like to see the maintenance logs for VTANB, and we should be able to have public scrutiny of the Air India maintenance logs.
Richard, 5338, India Papa Victor, says, my brother who took the same flight 1 year ago said the whole toilet floor was flooded and the cabin crew wasn't even concerned. He wrote an email to Air India saying that this could lead to electrical failure at the toilet flush. At the toilet flush was blue antiseptic chemical inside that can cause a short circuit. Richard.
Yeah, aircraft toilets use a blue antiseptic disinfectant fluid. It contains ammonium compounds and mixed with water in the flushing system. This fluid is not only conductive, it's also corrosive. So it can cause short circuits if it leaks onto exposed electrical systems because it is conductive. It can cause damage to electrical components and wiring because it is corrosive. I wonder what reply did your brother receive from Air India to his email? I'd be interested to see that.
We should also mention too that the 787's toilets, as they are on the A350 and a lot of other aircraft these days, are actually a vacuum system. There is obviously antiseptic fluid involved, but it's a pretty robust system with lots of pressures on it.
Yeah.
Now, Pallades Neptunes, actually an acquaintance of mine who works in Delhi but flies back to Germany several times a year and sometimes on Air India. He mentioned that he never had any safety issues during those flights, but tables would be stuck, entertainment systems in some seats were dead, repairs done with visible duct tape, and every single time one of the toilets, I should say, would not work. All this in business class, just saying. Richard.
Yeah. There's also a video from a first class passenger from Chicago to Delhi on Air India that makes the same statements about duct tape and the IFE not working and the toilets not working. This video went viral, and the ticket cost the first class passengers $6,300. And these are the things that the customer sees in the cabin. And they see them in first class, business class, and economy class. There are also issues which the customer does not see. And I'm actually even more concerned about the second set of issues.
So from Vince Mastrolocco, 4490, to further underscore the perception of these dubious operators in the developing world, I will share with you an anecdote of a colleague who was conducting business in two different cities in Pakistan, Karachi and Islamabad. He flew Dubai to Karachi on Emirates. Once his business in Karachi was done, instead of taking a domestic flight on Pakistan International Airlines from Karachi to Islamabad, he flew Emirates from Karachi to Dubai and then took another Emirates flight from Dubai to Islamabad. All this was fully supported by our company, which has strict policies on which airlines to use. Need I say more? Richard.
Yeah. Well, quite frankly, I would have done the same.
Yeah. Me too. Mark Bradley, 2367. Notwithstanding if it is found Air India did not comply with Boeing directives, which if proven is grounds for Air India having its AOC removed, I'm amazed that the 787 should suffer from leaking toilets. This was a big problem on the 767 I flew, but this aircraft first flew in 1982. How is it that Boeing, when producing the 787 in 2000, and knowing that it was an all-electric jet, did not take the isolation of stray water sewage from the EE bays really seriously? Over many years, I have plumbed in 5 bathrooms and in various houses I've lived in, and apart from my first attempt, which was very wet, I've never experienced any leaks, and I'm not a professional plumber. In the 6 years I flew the 787 before retiring, I never experienced leaking toilet or galleys, the odd ice drawer, but maybe because they were all brand new. Richard, I wish you had been on my 787 conversion course. I'm sure it would have been so much easier with your ability to explain complicated technical matters in such simple terms. Keep up this amazing work. Fascinating comment, that one.
Yes, it is. And from a Boeing 787 pilot. I would add a brand new Boeing 787 has not seen years of wear and tear, and it has not seen years of preventative and corrective maintenance. So it probably will be without many problems. And a Boeing 787 has a significant cost of purchase, but it also has a significant cost of ownership. And Mark, I assume you work for an airline that understood the cost of ownership and the responsibility of ownership in operating a Boeing 787.
Richard, we also have a few questions on other issues from Curious Crow MP4CX. Dear Richard, you state that the transponder stopped transmitting, but there is nothing in the preliminary report which confirms this. Could you please cite your source for the transponder cutting out before impact? Obviously, Curious Crow has not watched all our videos, but Richard, we can help him.
Yeah. The source is Flight Radar 24, and that you will find cited in previous episodes and also in the report we published. So there is not just the preliminary report as a source of information, but we also use Flight Radar 24 data for the flight, the crash flight, and also we use the CCTV footage that is available. So there's more than just the preliminary report, Curious Crow.
And Richard's report is in the description below that you can download it. Now, I do know that some folks have said, I don't like downloading stuff. Well, that's fine. Email me, and my email is in the description below, and I will email you that report. So there's no reason not to have a look at it. Dark Matter 2676. Good analysis. A few questions remain. How did you conclude that only the captain's side instrument panel was switched on, and how did the captain know that the co-pilot's instrument panel was switched off? If that was covered in your previous analysis, please do let me know. Also, the front EAFR and the AMP has its own power source. It should have recorded the PIC taking over, even if the RPDUs had purportedly failed. Overall, why would the AAIB preliminary report state that both engines, N1 and N2, started dropping after the switches were moved to cutoff? Richard, there's several questions in that one.
Yeah, 3 questions. And the first one, the Boeing FCOM, Flight Crew Operating Manual, lists exactly what equipment is powered by the RAT and what is not. And both pilots would have been familiar with that list. So in the Boeing 787-8 FCOM, the main battery, when that takes over when power fails from the engine IDGs, states very clearly captain's flight instruments are then powered, but the first officer's flight instruments are not. The main battery provides standby power until the RAT deploys, and it powers significant loads such as the captain's display units, the captain and first officer audio control panels, the left VHF, the MCP, the auto flight, and the limited operation of the FMC, the flight main computer. It lists also quite a list of inoperative items, for example, the auto throttle or the LNAV and VNAV navigation, and the FMC's thrust predictions, and it goes on. So we take the information from the Boeing documentation. Secondly, the EAFR CVR will record the pilot in command taking over. You're quite right on that one. And the third question, in my opinion, the AAIB report is misleading.
Yep. Richard, fascinating episode for us today. Lots of questions pro Boeing and pro Air India either way. It's certainly divided opinion, has it not?
It has, and there are many more questions which we don't have time to get to in this episode, but please keep them coming because they're very good questions.
So viewers, that's all we've got time for today. We are going to be back tomorrow, and we are going to be looking at the captain. Again, special episode devoted to the captain. So please do subscribe to us. Please like us. Please keep those wonderful supportive comments coming. And also, of course, those wonderful questions. We do appreciate them very much indeed. And Richard, thank you for your work today answering these questions. It's very much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
And viewers, please do tune in tomorrow. We look forward very much to your company in what promises to be a very, very interesting episode. Thank you very much.